Buongiorno a tutti, ben ritrovati. Siamo al secondo giorno di questa seconda settimana di W.A.Ve. Oggi avremo il piacere di sentire la conferenza di Myung Ho Lee. Good morning, everybody. We are at the second day of this second week of W.A.Ve. And I'm really glad to introduce you Myung Ho Lee. Professor Myung Ho Lee is the founding principal and president of MLNP Architects, where he leads the design of all projects. He was studying architecture. He did this at Seoul, where he did his bachelor degree, and then he did his master degree in the School of Architecture of London. In London, he was working in several prestigious architectural studios, such as Zadid, where he was associate architect for 7 years. So, Professor Myung, it's your time.
Okay, good morning. Yeah, thank you for inviting me today for the conference, and also from the last week, I met many students from the Venice School of Architecture. They are very talented, and we very enjoyed working together. Today, I'm being asked to present some work in my studio. So I mean that we are basically in South Korea in Far East Asia. So somehow the work is at the moment going on in my office. The mainly I can show you today some of the work from the house, also some competition work. So I mean that you can see that what's going on in South Korea and Asia. As you can see today, I mean, I'm quite young architect, so for students, I think it's could be interesting to see that some of the work, because of if you in some future, if you open the practice, there's some of the work quite I think quite similar because of at the beginning of every practice, it depends on the client, but some of the work is not a big size, also it's not a big budget. So somehow I try to find out in terms of design quality, within the budget, also within the circumstance in Korea. Yeah, I can start some of the project I can show you. Let me share. Let me see. Let me find out. Okay. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. Can you see that screen? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It's basically our project mainly in South Korea, also Seoul is capital city of South Korea. Before that, just a little bit talking about the condition, the context of South Korea. The first thing in the South Korea, the Seoul, the capital city, quite expanded recently, as you can see in the screen. Can you see my mouse? Or not? I don't know. Basically, the lead is 1914. It's quite, I mean, it was capital as well, but it's quite small than current. So you can see the lead is 1914, and then during the Japanese occupation in South Korea, we expanded the Seoul 1936, yellow, And then before the Korean War, also expanded in 1949, the green. And then after Korean War, economics basically developed quite rapidly. So for that, the Seoul expanded quite a lot, especially during the 1960s, 1970. So it's interesting to see, I mean, the South Korea, especially the capital city, Seoul, most of the area is quite new in terms of development. So in terms of context, is of course we have some historic site, historic context, especially the center of Seoul. But at the same time, the architect in South Korea, we have to understand this development, this recent development, also in terms of speed, dynamic, also in terms of listen. I mean, the client requirement, especially these days, is quite important to us. This picture to show the two periods. One thing, it is Gangnam area is quite central at the moment, but and you can see in 1970, the Gangnam area is basically start development. There was basically nothing before. From the 1960, 1970, they basically planning new city around the old city. So it's basically 1970, the few building and also the not really developed, but from the 70, from the 80, 90, and as you can see, this is also almost 30 years development is quite dramatically changed. Today I'm going to show you the housing project. It's 3 housing project. It's Legends project. But before that, I would like to mention about the socio-economic context in South Korea. At the moment, South Korea, the population is 52 million in South Korea only. And but the South Korean, most people living in apartment, almost 50 people, 26 million living in apartment. Apartment is like high-rise building. It's like I don't know in terms of European country, it's like a block. Because of we have a small land, we have many people. The government only the chance to provide housing to people is this kind of type of housing is apartment. So during the 1970, during the 1980, as you can see, the most people at the moment living in the apartment. This is a really typical type of housing at the moment. But also same time that the people, South Korean, that the thinking these apartments not only for their house but also in terms of real estate concept. So it's very sensitive about the location, also the apartment style. So in terms of the value of apartment in general in Seoul, not Korea, but in Seoul, the value is $1 million US, size about 84 square meter. Reason why I'm talking about this is because of the housing project that I'm going to show you today is not apartment. It's basically the single house in condition. But people have to think about the relationship between this apartment, the new residence, because of the value location. So the most of project that I'm showing you today in terms of house is they have to sell their apartment to get the residential in here. So it depends on location and depend on type of location. They are quite different style. So you can see today. I don't know, somehow looks like I'm. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so because of in front of me, there's no one, so it's like
Yeah.
talking the wall. So
Now there
okay,
are 23 participants at this time.
okay, that's good.
Yes.
Maybe I can show. Yeah, so today I'm gonna show you the 3 house project in my office. As you can see, the LED area is Seoul, capital city, and around the Seoul we have Gyeonggi-do, also another provision. In Seoul, we living the 10 million people in South Korea in Seoul, but around Seoul there are another 10 million people. It's quite density city, so almost 50% of people South Korea living around Seoul and Seoul. But as you can see that I have a project, for example, from the Seoul, there are 35 kilometer, site one, number one. Number two is 20 kilometer, and number three is within the Seoul. So depend on location, also depend on value around the apartment, around the site. There are quite different type of house we have to design. We have to somehow response with the client requirement. So the first project is a little bit far away from the Seoul, 35 kilometer, but also around 35 kilometer, there are many people still living, as I can say, 10 million, 20 million people living around the Seoul. So house one is a bit quite from away from the Seoul. So as you can see, the site condition is kind of suburban. It's not the city, but it's not the nature. It's suburban. As you can see, there's quite like house around the site. The site is located in the edge of this village, and also there's some golf club around them. And depend on the location, depend on area, we have quite strong regulation in terms of the building ratio and also the floor area to ratio. So, for example, in this building one, the condition of the site, we have the load around the site. So you can see the load behind, the load in front of site. Also, this site, the building coverage is 20%. So you only can build this house 20% of your land. It's very, every site, every land has a regulation. Sometimes 20, sometimes 40, sometimes 80. So 20% means that in terms they keep as much they can, the green area. So this site is building coverage 20%. Also, land price is 300,000 US dollar. It's quite cheap in terms of the compared to Seoul. Average apartment price around the site is 700 US dollar around. So the client actually sell out the apartment. Apartment is quite typical type of Korean. So people normally ask you, okay, which area are you living? Means that your apartment, which area, something like that. So apartment price around site is 700 US dollar. So they have to sell out their house, their apartment to get this land and to build their house. So the budget only have 400,000 US dollar. So as I told you before, we have the load around the site. So the first thing I have to think about how I can protect from the load, from the car, also from the people for the privacy. So also that in terms of budget, 400,000 US dollar is not the huge budget to build own house. So I try to design the house the simple as much as I can. But same time, I created some wall in front of the house to protect some of the privacy from the road, at the same time to create some sort of courtyard, some sort of internal space for them. So this is a model that, in terms of house, this is a house, quite simple and also quite traditional form. At the same time, we suggest some of the wall, like a wall, to basically mediate between the house, also the in front of the house. At the same time, create some sort of a courtyard inside the house. But at the same time, that in terms of the house, in terms of front, that this wall is basically kind of how can I say? Because of the house is not big, but at the same time they want to some activity inside. So this wall also to protect them from outside. Also, but I don't want to this wall become too much rigid, too much, barrier, too much wall for them. So so some of the wall, basically this is brick material. The wall is brick, but some of the brick we play with some brick, make some transparency as much as you can. So some of the image that the in front of house you can see now. But at the same time, the wall is not solid. Some wall we using the brick. Some of the wall you can, some of the transparency you can see. Okay, so this is the plan that can you see my mouse, which I indicating or not?
Yes, yes.
Okay, that's good. Okay. So as I told you before, we have the road here and we have the road here and South Sea here. In Korea, for design house, the direction is very important. In winter, we have quite cold, almost -10, sometimes -15. In summer, we are very hot, like 33, 35 degree. But traditionally, people they want the house facing the south because of the winter. The south in here. So basically, main house located like a simple shape that, okay, you can see here. And then we have a wall here. And this wall basically to protecting the house, at the same time creating the courtyard in here. So in the first floor, we have some guest room here. And when you enter the house, we have basically the first floor is for like a semi-public space and kitchen and dining and living area. And second floor, the owner of this house, they have a family, they have 2 daughters, and also the basically, so we need three bedroom, 1 master bedroom and 2 bedroom for daughter. But they are quite young, so we propose previously when they're young, we basically they're using the not the separate, basically 1 room when they're young. But we propose to go up the upper level, like a staircase, but this staircase become a wall in some day when they grow up. So we propose like quite flexible way to using the understand about the separation, depend on age of their family. And also we have terrace here. So this is like elevation that. In terms of material, that as I told you before, this $400,000 US is almost average price for the building cost. Also, the most of house I present today is almost like a middle class, also upper class. So it's not like a high-end residential. So, but for me, that as a young architect, open practice, this kind of opportunity is important. It's not like high-end, even if not high-end project, we have to really find out some of the opportunity, also some of the issue based on this this house. So basically, the material we have like some metal finish on top on upper level, and we have the we use the brick for the down level. Two material is quite common. It's quite cheap as well. This is another elevation. The section. Also, the structure for this house is timber structure. It's not quite common before, but from the 2000, that we started using the timber structure in South Korea. It's now become quite common. Most 50% of the house now constructed by the timber, and another 50% is concrete. Because people like a timber structure because of environmental issue, that especially if they have young children, they like a timber structure. So this is timber structure. It's quite now become common. Also, the system is basically imported from the Japan, also the America, the technique. So this is how it looks like. Basically, quite suburban condition. Also, I'm trying to the house in terms of the design as much simple as much I can. Trying to more emphasize on the outside on courtyard. Also, within the nature, I want to the architecture become a bit more simple or more calm. But same time, the material that using here is quite common, also quite cheap. But same time, a treatment as this material as much simple way. Okay, I can say. This is another example. So the owner of this house, they basically sell out the apartment around them. They actually get this house. So so for them it's quite good because of if they have children, it's sometimes difficult living in the apartment because of noise, other issue. But they now have really enjoying the nature, also enjoy the courtyard, also enjoying the terrace. So this front and some time. Also, the view from the terrace is quite good. This courtyard. So the first floor is more like common area for the people. And think of second floor, we have a master bedroom and 2 room. As you can see, this is at the moment, the beginning, this is a 1 room. So the staircase go to the upper level, but after grow up, they're gonna make a separation between the room. And second project is now a little bit close to the Seoul, so 20 kilometers from the Seoul, the Pangyo area. And Pangyo area is much close to Seoul, also much more density, more urban condition. So as you can see, this is a typical type of apartment, like yeah. And normally this kind of layout, this kind of land, the government is quite different than other countries. How we provide land to people, normally the government agency, the land development company, they basically bought land from the people and they actually make the construction, the construction, their road and infrastructure, and they divide and then they sell out individual company or individual. So it's quite different than other countries because of the previous 1970, government facing a lot of issue about providing house, providing in terms of infrastructure for people. So they actually make a special wall to they have a right to even if somebody don't want to sell out their land, they have to sell out. Basically, if they actually decide some of the area, okay, we want to make a new city, they have to sell out their land to the government, and they basically make a layout, urban planning, and make infrastructure, and then they actually make a good condition of the in terms of city, and then they sell out again to individual in terms of individual development. Anyway, so this is a apartment. So within the urban planning, they provide high density housing, not only housing and not only high density housing, also in terms of individual house land as well. So this is another this is basically a site that in terms of location is quite different than previous house. So this site is the building coverage is 50%. So previously 20%, this is 50%. So this is a urban area, but same time this is not like an apartment high density. This is low density area. So they try to keep 50% building coverage, and land price is almost double, $800,000. And average apartment price around area is quite expensive, almost $12 million. So also same issue, but they both land quite expensive, but they don't have much money to construction the cost. So the $400 we have to design, we have to build. Also the building area floor area ratio is 80%. So you can use 80% of your land to build architecture. Okay, so something that we have a very strong regulation where how much you occupy your architecture in the land, how much you have to set back from the road, for example, and how many cars you have to provide, for example, how much you can make building coverage. So this is 50%, and floor area ratio is 80%. And when we start to design this house, around the site there's nothing. Basically, this is almost first house in this in this plot. So at the first time we don't know because we don't have any context around our house. So we're not quite sure which direction we can apply to make some opening, make some courtyard for the house, because if somebody built around next to your house, make some other house, then your initial concept is going to be destroyed. So we are trying to make a neutral as much you can. So we propose some of the courtyard as quite small courtyard, small opening, not only left side on the other side as well. So whatever become a changing around your house, we have to at least we have to something the meaningful space in your house. Also, this Pangyo area now is quite developed at the moment. There's so many architects design quite nice house, but there's quite many style, many kind of color around the site. So we actually our house we try to much simple as we can. So more simple, but same time the space inside much variety. So this is our initial design proposal. So we have first floor, second floor. We have an upper level, roof level as well. So it's the same as before. We have we need to provide the car park, and the first floor we have living room and kitchen area. And upper level we have another living area, we have a master bedroom and also the another bedroom for children. Also in terms of upper level, we have another kind of playground for the children. So this is like idea is that we have a very simple form, but inside is quite in terms of variety, in terms of height, in terms of spatial relationship. So this is a section model that you can see. Okay, this is the first floor. That when you enter here, this is entrance. We have a guest room, and we have a living space, and we have a kitchen and dining space, and we have, if you go up, if you have another living area, and then you have master bedroom and 2 children bedroom here, and in between also the children they have about 7 and 8 years ago, 8 years. So sometimes we propose this door the wide as much as you can. So if you open the door, this whole space you feel as a one space. Also in between the room, we provide some of the stage. So it's more like kind of they can easily meet together and talking together and enjoy together in this area. And another reason we also make another living room in upper level, because of, as I say, this is a private house, but the land is quite small than before. Also, next to your house, there's another house around your house. So the first level living area is quite, can I say, it's difficult to keep the privacy. So this living room in the first floor, more like a public, semi-public space. And second floor living space more like protected. We make some wall on each side. So this is from the outside. You cannot see the inside the space. So it's more like a family living room. And another level, roof level, we have some space for children and some of the space for the parents. And also in between, we have outside space but covered by roof. Yeah, some of the section elevation. Okay, so after construction, we take photograph, and actually you can see around the house that much building. It's quite quite peaceful, but now they are full of house around the house. Anyway, so this is how it looks like in front and the back. Also, as I say, this construction fee is $400,000. I don't know how much normally the average construction fee in Italy, but the $400,000 for this is almost like a 120 square meter size of building. So it's quite average, and that's actually less than average. The construction fee is quite tight. So okay, this is the first floor living area, and this is a kind of 3-dimensional kind of open space. So you have some sort of garden here, but at the same time you have opening the top, and we have some wall to protecting in second floor. And second floor we have a more like private living room. And as I told you before, we have 2 rooms here, 2 children, but they have like kind of stage or library. They can meet together and study together and enjoy together. Actually, their family has 2 daughters, but after finish the house, they have friends, so they come. And the staircase. And upper level, another study room or some playroom. So the most people recently trying to build their own house. Normally, they are quite young, actually, family, especially they have a children. because of the apartment in South Korea. It's quite good condition. But at the same time, there's noise, a lot of issue, difficult to manage children living in the apartment. So the young people, especially the middle class people, they have a dream, they have own a house, also so that their children play as much as they can. And this is as you can see, the parents' dream, like a media room on upper level. And this is actually outside, but we tried to create a roof. So it's some sort of in between outside, inside. So the family, they sometimes have some camping in here. Okay, some of the view in the night. Okay. And the last house is a location within the Seoul. As you can see, it's quite different. I mean, quite dense. This is not apartment area. It's basically the house area. But the house is not it's not the same as a typical house. It's more like a quite, how can I say? It's normally the house has a 4 and 5 story because of density, because of land price. So this area, the building coverage is 60%. So you can build your house up to 60% of your land. The land price is quite expensive. It's 1 million normally US dollar. Compared to the size, it's only 140 square meter. And the average apartment price around this area is also 1 million US dollar. Construction fees is more than before. It's 700 US dollar because of that it's multi-flow. Also, the floor area ratio is 200%. So you can build your architecture 200% of your land. So this is actually quite a typical street condition, especially this whole area developed 1970. So it's quite typical street condition that 1970 people using kind of brick, and quite also normally they have not single story, it's multiple story as well. Okay, so this is a weak proposal that house the height of building is twice higher than previous because of land price. Because of this is okay. So this around your house is normally 4 and 2, but this is a 5-story house. Reason for this, because of land price is so expensive. So if you sell your apartment, if you want to make your own house, it's very difficult to build. So normally people, they build like 4 or 5-story house, but they have a 2 or 3-story house. Basically, they're gonna have a subland to get the land price back. And your house is basically from the 3rd floor and 4th floor on top. So basically, it's difficult to make your own house, only you living in the land because of land price, because of construction fee. So they normally have it's not, but this is actually legally this is the house. It's basically, but at the same time they're living together. Some other people, yeah, they do have some subland. So the in terms of material, I'm quite using also the brick, but as a typical way and some other way, also the variation. So also the around area also historically many people using the brick, so we actually refer to that as well. So yeah. Okay, so this is actually not ground area, it's basically underground area, but you can still access it from the road. So we have 4 cars. We have a small store, like so. It's not the house. It's basically some of the some small store here. And then when you go up, and we have 2 small house for the rent. Yeah, so 2 room and 1 room. So we have a first floor and second floor. We have a subtenant space, and then from the third floor we have the owner house. So we have basically this owner has no children. They are single, not single. They are husband and wife. Only 2 people living. So in this house we have only 1 room. Even the room is not like a separation. It's basically they are moving wall. So they don't want to actually make a room. They much like open as much as you can. They can because of the space is not a big size. So they want to have some openable room and also some kitchen and dining room. And they want to try to make in terms of bathroom as much they can, the big size of bathroom and some of the closet, so on. And first floor, they have a living room in the first floor, and we have some terrace. And the 5th floor, they have some library in here. So in total size of this own house is 84 square meter. It's not that big, but they have a 3-story of the house. So this is the owner house. The 3rd floor, they have a living room and no living room, the kitchen and the bedroom. So kitchen and the bathroom, and also bathroom connected to some of the like a small terrace. But at the same time, this is quite dense area. So they worry about privacy, so we create some sort of wall to protecting them. And also from the 3rd floor and 1st floor, we have a staircase, but the staircase is become an internal space, not only as a kind of staircase, but as we try to, because of the space quite small, so we trying to use this, even the staircase become part of the internal space as much as we can. And 1st floor, we have a living room, and then we have terrace here. And we have a staircase going up. Because of the space quite small, so we just using the spiral staircase to minimize the staircase size. And the 5th floor, we have a kind of study room and some reading room. Some of the window, the people can sit and enjoy the view. Okay, so the house, I show you 3 house. It's basically, this is like a high-end house. It's not like luxury house. It's more like a middle-class house. But the middle class now, they're really trying to escape from the apartment to enjoying kind of another type of house, also enjoying the different way of living condition. So those kind of opportunity that become our young architect in South Korea, they kind of to get chance to get some, kind of this type of house. So it's not like a big change, but they're slowly changing at the moment the living condition. So our young architect in South Korea, we trying to react this kind of opportunity. Okay, so another project that another project is competition. This is different than other previous project. It's quite big size. This is an international invited competition. 2 Korean company and 1 Chinese company, 1 Japanese company invited to proposal in Kazakhstan. In Kazakhstan, So I don't know how much you know about Kazakhstan, but Kazakhstan is Middle Asia, and they actually quite big size of, and basically they're quite big. And the three is a very important city. The Almaty is previously the capital city, but now they're moving to the center of Kazakhstan, Astana, can become a new capital. And outside is Broadway. It's not a city. It's more like a suburb. It's more like a nature. Basically, the competition is about the This competition is about the W.A.Ve University. They want to make some campus in the Broadway. So it's basically master plan. So like a campus, the university campus master plan competition. For the competition, I visited the Astana, the new capital city. Basically, it was empty about 20 years ago. It's now become a capital. It's basically huge. It's big city, but at the same time, it's quite. How can I say? It's kind of they are utopian, like their dream, or they want to show some of the new power, also new energy for them. But same time that the building style design is quite, how can I say, bizarre in some way. And this pyramid is designed by Norman Foster in UK. They try to, I mean, the pyramid as much. They call this as a peace palace for the Middle Asia. Reason I'm saying about in Kazakhstan, the architectural culture, they don't really have architectural culture in historically because they are actually nomadic life. They don't have a much historic element to reference for them to design architecture. So they normally import from outside, like import from European country, import from the America. So it's quite mixed. A lot of style, a lot of kind of architecture mixed, create some sort of like a visa kind of urban condition, urban city. And this is our site. The Broadway is quite beautiful landscape they have. So this new campus for the university is not like a campus in the city. It's basically the campus is in the nature. They try to much more focus on some specific class or specific subject. So it's like a more isolated condition for them. They need a more isolated condition for research. Also educate some special course. So for me, this is the first thing very important. How actually make some reference for them to create their architecture for them. I look at historically. I mean, this basically the many years they nomadic life. They just need to tent this kind of in beautiful landscape. So they're quite in some way they still some people still living in this kind of condition. And also they're quite flexible way to use land, also use space. They don't need to like fixed location. They're just moving around. They very easily wrapping around. They easily settle down. At the same time, for them is in mind. Still, they have a kind of this called yuruta. There's tent. So I start something like this yuruta as become a new typology for them for their architecture. And also this very huge, and basically the Middle Asia is very big, huge land. They only can see their location by related with the star. So some of the movement of star is quite impressive for them. So I simply start with a circle as a creating new typology for architecture, also for like some public space as well. So I try to also I don't want to like many kind of too I know this very beautiful landscape. I want to create more architecture, more not symbolic, but same time more a simple way to make campus. Okay, so the campus size is very big, but same time we have many facility for the campus. So we have a dormitory we have research center we need, also we have conference center, so on and so on. But I don't want to like depend the program. I don't want to create different type of building. So basically start with a circle. So each circle become a building, but building has a different program. So this is really first sketch that the circle in terms of typology of circle. Some circle become a dormitory like housing, but some of the like circle become a research center. So also same time, each circle has own courtyard, own space for react with nature, and some of the circle has a roof, so they can use much bigger space for them. And also not only building, also the outside, some of the using the circle to integrate between the building, also integrate with the nature. Yeah, so this is the model that actually, also the circle is somehow is not alone. So basically we're trying to make some of the duplicate also, kind of mixed between the circle to create some of the interesting space for the campus. So we have basically this campus. They have two facilities mainly. One is Nazarbayev. Nazarbayev is the previous president of Kazakhstan. His name is Nazarbayev. So Nazarbayev University, they using some of the facility. And also Nazarbayev Intellectual Institute is basically institute for some people, young people to educate. So we have two institutes, and we have some different joining. And then also we have some outdoor space for sports, also conference and gym, and also some of the observatory as well. So the building try to keep low as much you can. So it's not like horizontally popping out much lower or much calm. But same time that each circle has their own special character, but between the different depend on program. Also, when you look at the circular type of building, we need the different programs. So we are also how they using this internal space, internal courtyard, regarding on the nature change. Yeah. So this is kind of this is Nazarbayev University facility. So the first, this is the apartment condition. Also, some of the different condition that. So, but each circle has addressed. So when you look at the plan, that we have some dormitory type, also apartment, also the lab, research lab has accommodate within the circular typology. This is another facility. Yeah, that also. The same. This is more like a lecture room also. So what I'm saying that different program, but become more kind of addressed within the circular type. Some outdoor space. And also this is quite a beautiful landscape. So we're trying to use as much renewable energy, some care about nature. So we're using rainwater, also some of the purification. We're using the purification technology. Also, the car park is basically the green area. We can use as much as you can. Also, we try to keep the current nature as much as you can. Some of the green area we just preserve as much as you can. And also the renewable energy. So in terms of heating and cool, so we actually use as much as you can the nature, the energy of nature. And also the construction is quite important because we don't want to like destroy the nature when they construct it. So we try to make a more using as much you can manufacture prefabrication module. So the most of building they actually construct in the factory in the around city, and they just the carry on and also just install in the site. So minimize impact, trying to minimize impact on nature. Yeah, so we won the competition 2 years ago, but after that, unfortunately, that the Kazakhstan the economy is not good. As you can see, the oil economy is not good. So we waiting the actual construction, but we don't know yet. But with but for the competition, that quite enjoy to some of the opportunity, not only in the Seoul and also around Asia. Yeah, so today is more or less that I just finished that I just finished the lecture. So hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. I just finished the conference. Anyone have a question or anyone have a?
Okay. I remember to students, if they want to make question, they can use the chat. So we wait 1 second. In the meantime, I make a question.
Okay.
Looking at your presentation, I saw that there is a lot of care in the detail, in the realized project of the houses you show. And I saw there is a lot of care also in the drawing. As we are in a school of architecture, can you explain to our students the importance to make good drawings? And something I also noticed is that, for example, for the project of the houses you show, there are not so much rendering, not so, I don't find the word shining pictures, but the drawings. So can you explain to students why it's important to have real drawing and which is the importance of this kind of drawing? Thank you.
Well, to be honest, that we also produce a lot of rendering or lots of fancy image. It depends on project. The house project normally individual client, So the drawing is very important. Also the model, actual model, for them is very important. So we try to make a model as much as you can to understand how the space. But at the same time, I mean, drawing is important because they want to really see that how actually they can still live in condition. But at the same time, we have some other big project, but the project is more like influenced by some of the politicians, also some of the like many speaker. So we try to gesture as much as we can the rendering or like persuade them to how it looks like. But the house is different. The house more like the kind of to make them understand about the actual condition, not like looking outside. It's basically their own house. So we just trying to use the drawing and model. Model is that's why we make a lot of model, especially house project. Yeah. So we try to make a model as much as we can, big size like 150, sometimes 120. So not only for me, also for a client to see the actual space. So depend on the project, we use different style of drawing or style of presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. And then if there are not other questions from the students, I would like to ask you a curiosity. I think reading your CV, I saw you was working in a Zadid studio. So
Yeah.
7 years are a lot. So
Was it 7 years in total? But I work in different companies, so it's I was in the 2 years in Zaha Hadid.
Okay, okay. But by the way, I think it was an interesting experience.
Yeah.
So could you share with us, because we are curious, maybe how was to work to her and how much her work maybe have influenced your work or not? So could you share with us your experience?
The reason I joined Zaha Hadid is not the style, it's not about design language that I like, more like how they actually construction. That's more interesting to me to join. So especially I working in the Zaha Hadid for 2 years, only one project. At the moment, it's now completely built project. It's quite surprised that in terms of initial image, rendering image, it's not really, sometimes just the only dream. But when they become a reality, there's so much energy. Also, some of the like expert from the outside, they're working together, make a realize. So I want to tell the student, it's not like don't look at the only fantastic image like some of the like computer generated image, but the inside they really try to make a realization of their project. It's very, they are really good knowledge to make a realize, also to make a realize their dream. That is very important part of their practice that I like. When I was in like in there, I would quite like to see that. Yeah.
So thank you very much, because I think our students, when finish the master degree, they have a dream to work in a big company, in a big studio. So thank you for sharing with us your experience.
Thank you so much for inviting me today. I enjoyed the conference and also
thank you. We also
enjoyed
enjoyed.
work with the student. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much. I wish you a good work and have a nice day.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Bye. 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 Bye.